Australia. Hello,
Hello,
yeah, I
bro.
think you can hear me now. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Can you
hear
hear
you
me
now.
now? Okay.
Can you share it on the Facebook? Maybe share it on the groups from there. Can you share it? All right, then go do it for me. You okay, bro? This thing we have to.
Yeah, it's okay.
I've never used it before, so yeah,
Yeah,
just
okay.
share it.
I can see.
Yeah, we have to go through a lot before we could get it.
Yeah.
All right.
We used to use it. We
Anyway,
used to use
thank
it
you.
back in the days.
Anyway, yeah, thank you very much for your time, though, because I know
No problem.
you have busy schedules. I know, so but this is a calling, and you've started it long before, so
It's no problem. It's no problem.
yeah. So so we can't.
So let me go to Facebook and share it so that
All right.
my friends too can possibly join.
Okay.
So
I can make the screen full in it. Full screen.
Can we live now?
Yeah, we live here.
Okay, then continue.
All right. We live. So as I said, welcome to One Africa Mission with your brother Dobia Anzansi. Today I'm here with my brother, my blood brother, brother Eze X. I think you all know him. You know the job he has been doing for the past how many years? We can't really tell. So today I'm hosting him, and we're gonna be talking about the possible unification of Africa and all these so-called tribal differences. Are we really different as tribal-wise? Are we really different, or is just a misconception that has been planted on us to divide us and continue to rule us? And I know our brother has a very deep, in-depth knowledge on this topic. So today we're gonna host him for him to educate us a little bit about the unification of the unification of Africa and the benefits of that. What a united Africa can do to we, especially with this generation of Africans, and what can we do to really see this dream of our forefathers become a reality. So my brother, brother Eze, you're welcome to One Africa Mission.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I really appreciate your initiative on this. It's what I believe in, it's what I've been pushing for. But then living in Africa, doing a lot, it's not easy to have the time always, to keep bringing up this energy, the time, the research, and all that. So sometimes we kind of step back a little bit to make sure the children feed, and then we build a future for ourselves and the children. But then Africa is Africa. There's no two Africa. There's no Jewish or Caucasian Africa. It's just one Africa. You get it? Okay. Peter Tosh said that, which where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you are an African. No matter your nationality, you have got the identity of an African. Said even if your complexion is high or is low, you're an African. No? If you are a Catholic, you're an Anglican, whatever, Embassy of Christ and Christ and Embassy, a Muslim, a Shiite, a Sunni, a Zala, you're an African. But then something happened along the line that we began to see ourselves differently. You're a Ghanaian, but you look more like me than me. Because every feature that a black man has, you have it, the big nose, the big lips, the African look, the color, and everything. So Ghanaians are Africans as Nigerians are. But when some wicked people came all the way from Europe in their search to dominate, in their search to exploit and steal from motherland, which is Africa. They had to employ divide and conquer means, because the united people cannot be conquered, you know,
or rule over.
So they came with or rule over. They came with their antics and their plans to separate us. Hence, they went to Berlin Conference in 1884, I think, and they decided to partition Africa to convenience. So while they were, because before then they were almost fighting among themselves, killing each other over who owns Africa. So they had to settle on a table and partition and share Africa to their convenience. So they shared Africa among the Francophone, the Anglophone, the Portuguese, as the case may be, the Spanish, even a king in Belgium, King Leopold II, got the whole Congo for himself, just a king. And until date, his influence is still reigning supreme there, because Congo is the richest country on planet Earth.
And yet,
by Nigeria. But yet they are the poorest. So the whites came up with ideas to separate Africa so that they can administer us and steal from us conveniently. And our leaders were killed. A lot of our leaders were killed. Till today, they continue killing our leaders. You know, we have our leaders, we have their dealers. Like in Nigeria, we have not really had a leader. What we've been having is their dealers. And that's why whenever there's election, they are heading to Chatham House. They're always there to tell them, I am good, you can use me. This is what is happening now. I'm not talking about what happened in the 1960s. It's what is happening now. Some few countries that will refuse to do that, like the Tanzanian president, John Magufuli, who was able to show to Africans that their coronavirus was a scam. We saw how swiftly they removed him from the planet Earth. And some couple of them like that. So they came up with this divide and conquer system. They came with religion too. They brought religion. In religion, you have mainly Christian and Islam. But even within Christianity, you have over 5,000 denominations, which is disagreement. Wow. Because if we are following God, we all want to reach God, we should be in unison, because God is a point, God is one. But they created thousands and thousands of denominations to further partition and divide us into pieces.
So it's all part of the divide and conquer.
Yeah, it's all part of it. It's so deep that even if you go into Catholic Church, there are still further splittings. You have St. Peter Society, St. Paul Society, St. Bartholomew, some people, what do you call them? Charismatic renewal. They keep partition the people because the people must not unite as one. We are like a bunch of broom. If you get a whole bunch, you can't break them, no matter how strong you are. But you pieces it, you can cut it in pieces. So Africa has, that's why I speak against religion. It's not because I hate their God. It's not because I have any issue with their God, but the effect of that God system in our unity is my major problem. And hence, I felt the only way to free our people and possibly bring our people to a center is for us to attack this source of destruction, which is the God system, the Western influence. So now you have the Christians and the Muslims that can't stay together. They don't see each other eyeballs, and you expect a growth? No. There can never be growth. There may be a slight growth if we were all Muslims, because to an extent, we'll see ourselves as Muslim brothers. And that's why the countries like Saudi Arabia and all these Muslim-dominated countries are seeing prosperity. You get it? But if you have to have a divide of 40, 60, or 50-50 of these two religions, there's no headway, and it was deliberately done. If our people do not know who created Catholic Church, created Islam, and who created Catholic Church went ahead to partition Catholic Church to other denominations. And who did it is the Romans. But that is not, it's a discussion for another day. Let me not take into the theological manipulation.
That's true.
Yeah. Let's go into democracy or leadership in Africa. They gave us democracy. Yes. How can you give me a system of government that would put me apart and in contention with my brothers and sisters every 4 years? Every 4 years, you have to have leader leading and opposition. We have to fight and kill. So we renew our fight every 4 years. There's no development in it. And it was deliberately done because every 4 years, we're going to disagree and the Westerners will come. European Union will come. the observers will come. As they are coming, they are making deals with whoever they're going to support to win. Because whoever they throw their weight to is going to win. If, for instance, they decide to rig all the elections, who do we cry to? We go to UK embassy to cry. We go to United Nations to cry. Who are the people there? We are still crying to the same people that need you disorganized, separated, disunited. So the case of Africa is that the values and the cultural values, especially of Africa, has been termed demonic. And once your essence is demonized, then you become whatever the man that demonized you makes of you.
Yeah.
Just a short one. A lot of our sisters today, you see, you look good, I look good. I'm not wearing any Western look. I'm just an African. My hair, my color, nothing. But our sisters have found no beauty in their nature. That is the case of Africa. Africa found yes, Africa found no beauty in our nature, in our food, in our culture, in our ways of life. So we are like students every day sitting down waiting for the white man to tell us which way that is good. Today they come up, they say, this is no longer this. This has been changed, and then we have to change it. So we are in the learning, we're in the learning class of a white man. We are learning from the class of a white man.
So my brother, so bro, so you know, all this thing that you're explaining, you telling us. So I just wanted to find out. So do you think, like, if Africa were united, we can still be pushed around like this? Can a united Africa be pushed around like this?
No, we cannot be. No. United Africa can be pushed around because having partitioned Africa, our military becomes weaker and smaller. If you have a one Africa, we'll have a very formidable force, stronger than Russia, America, and even China. Because everything it takes to build nuclear weapons is in Africa. But mind you, Africa has the highest reserve of uranium, but we don't have any nuclear weapon project going on in Africa. And it's important to know that we don't have, because if the slave owns a gun, he becomes free. So the West would not allow you to own something as strong as nuclear weapon, because if you do, they can't send Boko Haram across the borders to come and disorganize their government. Are you getting my point? They can't create coronavirus and then force you to stay at home when you have no food to eat. It's a command and control. So
when in reality, the coronavirus is not killing your people as it is killing them, and yet you still have to lock down.
Yeah, for their sake. You know, there is this thing people don't know about black man. You are possibly living with about 200 viruses in your system now. But it's not going to manifest because your nature is designed to hold it back. For the white race, they are not as strong as we are genetically. So once anything comes close to them, they are down and they are dying. They are like the agric chicken. Do you know what called agric chicken? You know, you have local chicken, and those are agric manipulated chicken, the lights that looks like the Caucasians. So you can see that the local chicken stays forever, no vaccine, nothing, and they're living their lives. But the agric chicken dies almost, if you don't give them vaccine, they die just within 1 week or thereabout. That is an illustration of who we are and who the white man is. So white man is not locking you down for no reason, but he's scared that you might carry that disease without manifesting it and come and give it to them and kill them all. So when they sleep, we must be sleeping. When they are awake, we must be awake. Still based on control. But Africa must break these fabricated borders. Have a common language, and stop teaching our children Western education. Western education is an intimidation.
You know, you say something because anytime I do a video, I always ask this question, and it got something to do with the importance of our unity. I always ask, imagine a country like America with 50 states. Imagine if all the 50 states were individual countries. Do you think America will be powerful as they are today? Different passports, different currency, different presidents, different military. I don't think they would have been powerful as they are. But because they saw the need of, they saw the power in unity, they have to fight to be able to bring all those 50 states together. But we, as African people, I may say we wouldn't want to go their way to fighting a civil war to bring all these 54 or 55 countries together. But what can we do as we, this new generation of Africans? What can we do to have this unification of Africa so that there wouldn't be anything like me coming to, let's say, going to Eswatini, then I have to look for a visa, then to struggle, go through all this hustling. One, as a matter of fact, the Europeans who petition Africa and divide Africa among themselves, they have freedom to travel among themselves. But we, the Africans who never had these borders, we refuse to acknowledge that we are one people, and then we can be able to travel among themselves. What is really the problem here?
The problem is that we have different landlords. Until we break away from these landlords, we can't actually unite ourselves. About 16 African countries, the Francophone countries, still use CFA till date. Their reserve is in France. So I think today's African young men like you and I must get involved in their politics. We must stop this idea of saying that politics is a game of the bad ones or dirty game or whatever they call it. If it takes us getting dirty if it takes us getting dirty along, let's get dirty and put African leaders in power. Because what we have mainly these days are African dealers.
Dealers.
These are the one these are the ones that will sell it to them. And that's why whether they are doing good or bad, they will still be there. One of the worst leaders Africa has ever had is Muhammad Buhari. But he's still there. He still attends the United Nations meetings. He would kill youths, shoot them point blank in Lagos, Lekki, Lagos, and nothing happens because he's in bed with those who can sanction or who can make or mar him. Are you getting my point? So African young men must get into policies. That is what's going on in Nigeria today. You can see we're all fighting to have our candidate Peter Obi in power. The youth are doing that. It should be done in your country because your country is not free too. Forget about the Quincy English of your president.
That's even the worst,
because this is pointers you have to check out. These countries that are still being controlled, and it's almost the whole Black African nations, they don't write their constitution. Check your constitution. You don't know who wrote it. I don't know who wrote my constitution. And right there, the first paragraph of their constitution is say, we the people of Nigeria. But we don't know who are the we. Our ancestors, our fathers never sat down. Somebody wrote these documents in 1979 from UK and sent it down, and we are still nurturing it. Whenever they feel we're trying to get it right, they had a coup, and the military will take over. They are boys. Then one of the military men will go wear agbada and then comes back to become a civilian president. It's still the same deal. So the UK are not, the British are not away from Nigeria. They left some caretakers, and they are they are out there remote controlling us. You get it?
All right. Okay, bro. You say something about those African leaders who always stand for Africa. Normally, they will come after them and eliminate them, and then they are countless. From it started with Nkrumah down to what's the name?
Sankara,
Gaddafi, and recently the president of Tanzania, Magufuli. So if I were to be a president of Africa, and I see that my brother is the ex, who is a president in let's say in Cameroon, who wanted to fight for Africa, who wanted to fight for his people, this is what they did to him, and there wasn't any help. Then I'm a president in Chad. Do you think if I see what they did to you, can you blame me if I compromise? Because I also have feelings, I have family. And then most of the time, when they come for African leader, they make sure that they will destroy you and destroy your family so that none of your family, and even not only in Africa, even if you watch Malcolm X, look at what they did to his family, the generation.
Yeah, it's what they do to, the blacks.
Can you really blame those who are compromising? Because they also have feeling, they have family, and they see what is happening to other people. So if I compromise, can you really blame me?
I will blame you. For instance, what I've been doing so far comes with repercussion. I know you know a little bit of the prices I've paid because of my view towards life and Africa. I'm aware of it, and I went for it, and I'm standing for it. So if I decide to be the president of this country, the first thing I'll first kill myself spiritually. I'm ready for whatever comes, but I'm going to defend this land, because the tax is to defend the land. The tax is not to go there and acquire and make some money for you and your cronies or your family. It's a war. It's a natural war going on. You see, Africa must know that we are still in slavery. If we acknowledge this, anybody going into office is going there to liberate the people. But for anybody to tell you that you are free, you have president, our president are puppets. They have no power.
You have independent, and yet you are dependent on other people.
How can it? I used to give one analogy. I said that Africa, for instance, Nigeria, according to them, got her independence in 1960, October 1st. But to me, that was the day we got our dependency.
Yes.
Do you know why? When the white man was here, we produced our food. We had a lot of jobs. Everything was done locally. Our currency was higher than dollar. Dollar was below naira. The moment they left, we depended on them, even to the extent of red oil we import, matches we import, toothpick we import. That is dependence. We cannot conduct election.
So in a nutshell, we are not independent.
The thing is this: we have to destroy this African AU. That thing is nonsense. It's a European company. African AU is nonsense. We have to create one that is African, the type that Kwame Nkrumah and the rest of them had. Because if they actually have a good AU, there's no how America will leave America and come to Libya here and kill our father and get away, and no African country sent army to defend him.
And you see,
are you clear on that? So
yeah,
for Africa,
and that's where the problem is, because as I said, look at what they did to Gaddafi, and they didn't only hide it; they make sure that they do it in public to send a signal to the rest of to people like Buhari, to tell you that if you dare try to stand our way, what we did to Gaddafi is the same thing we're gonna do to you. And then when they came for Gaddafi, we betrayed Gaddafi. And then we betrayed Nkrumah, we betrayed Sankara, we betrayed all these people. So if we continue to betray our leaders, do you think we can ever have good leaders? Because if I'm coming, I know at the end of the day, if they come to me, if they come for me, I'm going to be betrayed. So I rather compromise rather than try to stand on their way.
You're right. There's a big difference now. Before, our source of information was based on their channels. And that's why today we are smarter than our fathers. They program, edit, and give us what we feed. Like when Gaddafi was being haunted, I was celebrating it in my house in Sokoto then. I was always waiting for the day they
that's
would
what
kill
I'm
him.
saying. It's very unfortunate because I saw women in Ghana dancing over that. I'm telling you.
I danced too. No, I danced. That is how bad it was then. But you can see that. You can see today that information is getting to the minds of the people. The era of Aquarius is here. Information is abound. So an ordinary man like me, today, like I watched in Kenya, Pope John Paul, Pope Francis went there and millions came out and I shed tears.
That was in Congo and South Sudan.
Yeah, Congo and South Sudan, sorry. And I shed tears and I said to myself, meaning that this number of people do not know that this is their core enemy. The one that put them to sleep. They don't know that this is the man that put them to sleep, that their resources will be exploited.
That's why he's coming back.
He's coming to reinforce it.
Yeah, because look like there's an awakening.
Yeah, they will come. But we will speak. Okay, I'm almost done. There is awakening in the minds of people. And that awakening will result to a revolution. And don't think that this revolution is going to be video call revolution. It's going to take life. But eventually, we're going to send the crazy ballers out of Africa. You can see what's happening in Mali. They are sending the French out with the help of Russians. So we're going to make new friends. And eventually, Africa must know from history that friends don't last forever. After a while, the friends becomes an enemy because everybody got their eyes on the resources of the land
of Africa.
Are you getting it? So the information that is getting to our brain today will eventually free the land. Without information, there's no power. We supported the killing of Gaddafi because we had no information. Today we have
ignorant. We were ignorant.
Completely
and
ignorant. I celebrated it. I celebrated
Africa,
it.
Man. Yeah. I saw people
and that's why we don't have.
it.
That's why we don't have to subscribe to this Western education. Western education is designed to make you anti-Africa and pro-Europe. It makes you, and actually is not designed to equip you with the knowledge to create, knowledge to make life better. It is designed to teach you how to work in their companies.
You know, bro, talking about Western education, you know, recently our brother, I don't know if you see, I posted the video, our brother Widimaya. He was going from Ghana to Togo. Can you imagine Ghana to Togo and the hustle he has to go through? And he's been saying it the other day he was in Congo as well, and then he was talking about the ordeal and then all the hustle he has to go through to be able to produce one video. And I was saying to myself, bro, if you watch, we as African people, those people, our families in the villages, if today if I decide I'm going to Namibia, bro, I will always face problem when I encounter the so-called educated ones. That is when I get to the airport, those who have education, they will try to tell me, you are not a Namibian, you are not this, you are not that. But immediately I move from them to the village, I will be welcome like my home. So you can see what Western education has done to the so-called educated ones. They will always try to tell you that you are not from here, you are not from that, bring that separation. But immediately you move away from them, and then you get to the indigenous people of Africa, you will be welcome. And in many cases, if they see you are a good person, they'll give you land to farm, and they'll give you, at the end of, they will give you a wife to marry, and then you become part of the society.
Yeah. So you have really explained it. Education brings about class. That's why you have first class, second class, lower, third class. It separates you from humanity. You understand it? Education is always looking out for who is better than an educated person. Who is wiser than and mind you, education is not a bad thing, but Western education, I keep saying. In China, they have Chinese education. Recently, Indian education. And once you have education that is indigenous, it tends to bring the people together like this.
And to bring the best out of
Western, then the wiser person, the Western or the more educated person is expected to speak before every other person will speak. But that is not how life should be. The one with inspiration should speak first. You get it? So Africa is held down in different categories. But I think the very first thing we have to tackle is Africa's spiritual system, followed by the leadership. And maybe if we get that right, we can talk about the education to design our own curriculum. Because I don't see how your slave master will give you an education that will eventually free you from his stronghold. And mind you, when the West were leaving Africa, they insisted that we maintain our syllabus. That's one of the agreements, that we maintain the syllabus, that we don't change it. They have a reason why. Yes.
And then when you speak,
it makes you inferior.
You know, something really, colonization was truly a big package, because when you speak your own language, we call it vernacular.
Vernacular. And
that
then when you speak another vernacular. Yeah. Your face looks stressed. Because the guy is exactly.
Oh, bro. You're right, bro. Long time, bro. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Good to see you.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, it's like we're having a network problem.
Bro.
I don't know. Yeah, the network is having issues again. But can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can clearly hear you.
Okay, guys. So, yeah, I think. So yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Why
I can hear you.
feel that? Yeah, why I feel that is a religious system. Let me not call it spiritual system. The religious system has to be taken down, and very fast. It's because that is where they hit the intimidation. The noise. But I'm almost running. Come, let's say the fan come blow the network on myself. Yeah. I think I'm just in the floor alone. I don't know if, can you hear me? You know, our people and their mentality. If you see what they do Yahoo, no, they do live video for Yahoo.
I'm not the third this thing.
Night
skates are taking there.
Now you make me go cut my list.
Respect yourself.
Okay, you're back.
Hello, bro. Well, we're back, you know.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you were talking about the education system.
Yeah, the educational system is ill anyway. But for me, I think we should streamline our efforts to destroying the religion, all forms of foreign religion in Africa. Because once you cannot find God in your own image, behold, whoever that God looks like is your master and you're still a slave. If I can just play around here, check out all the various gods people venerate or worship. He looks exactly like those that owns him or her. In India, they have Krishna. If you see the picture of Krishna, it looks like the Indians. There's a reason why they did it. A growing child wants to see God in the image of his father, because it will give him that spiritual guts to say that, oh, I'm of God. I have the same attributes with God. If you go to China, they have Buddha. Buddha has a round face, even though with some little kinky hair, but they still try and put the face of a Chinese before a Buddha. But you know that Buddha is an African deity.
They still try to depict him like a Chinese.
So that they will give spiritual backing to a growing child that is of God's system. If you go to Europe, of course you have Jesus. I don't need to tell you that Jesus looks
like that.
You have all the attributes, the body is slender, the straight nose, the light lips, and the long hair, the European rock style look. That's the reason why they made it. It's for a psychological boost of their children. If you go to Arab, you have Muhammad and Allah. Of course, with Arabic attributes where it's from everything. But then you come to Africa. Once you come to Africa, you begin to lose this touch. Because Jesus don't look like you and
Everything
I.
is different.
Muhammad don't look like you and I. So we are a confused people. So we must find God in our own image for a psychological boost of the minds of Africans.
Yeah.
So we stop calling ourselves sinners, mere sinners, not just sinners, mere sinners. We stop calling ourselves sheep. Or in Islam, they start calling themselves like, they stop calling themselves slaves. Slaves don't build a great nation. Sheep don't build a great nation. So we must go back to when we call ourselves kings and queens. Because kings and queens have to live in royalty. The spiritual control the physical. So if it's not done well here, it can't manifest.
Everything is.
Yeah, we must free ourselves from the spiritual hold of the Europeans and the Arabs. And this thing comes with a very serious price. If you know the stones they keep stealing from us, if you know the minerals, if you know the oil they're stealing here, while we sing praises to Most High God to come and take us to the sky. Anybody that tells you to look up to the sky and praise to God hates you, because the resources is down on earth. So you don't look up. You don't look for the rain or the sun.
My cousin used to say pickpocket. It's a form of pickpocket. Look up, you are looking up, and then they are taking from your pocket.
Yes. So we have to resolve this one. Any leader that is coming into Africa office today that is not talking about controlling the presence of religion in Africa is actually not solving any problem. An example is Paul Kagame of Rwanda. He called them and said, guys, you can't just wake up and say God called you. You must have gone through theology and philosophy school for at least 6 years for you to be able to lead the people. And that removed all the whole criminals from the street. And what do you have? Developments. And the religion itself brings about separation. Because if you are Anglican in Nigeria, you can't marry a Catholic.
No.
It's a fact. Muslim can't marry Christians. So we're talking about unification of Africa, whereby some religious homes cannot even allow us to intermarry. Where is the unification? It has to start from that little space to the bigger space. So Africa must, as a matter of urgency, remove religion from our land, because it's a vice, it's a destruction of our brain. If we remove religion, then we'll have little to handle. Tribalism was nothing before politics came.
That's what I was gonna ask you, because it's part of our discussion today. Tribalism, because somebody was telling me that I always talk about a unification of Africa, and then he was telling me that what about all these our different tribes? Can we ever put it aside and then be united? I made a video about it, but I need your knowledge on this.
Yeah. Tell that person that tribalism was sponsored in Africa. Every other human race has tribalism. Tribe. The war going on in Ukraine and Russia today is a tribal war. Are you getting my point? It's a tribal war. But in our own case, tribe was weaponized. They used tribe to separate us. The West did it in such a way because they didn't want a united people. But if only we know our history, we will understand that there was a time we had a language, one language in Africa, which is the Bantu language. If you read about the Bantu movement, so why don't we go back to that language? Or why don't we create a new language? But tribe is nothing.
We are masters of creating language.
Yes, of course. Yes, that's what we do. We create a new language for ourselves. So tribalism is nothing. I don't think the war going on in Nigeria or anywhere today because of tribe. It's religion and politics, Western influence and interest.
Yeah.
The two tools they use is religion and tribe. But the intent behind it is the resources on the ground. Jesus is Lord, this and that. Everything is just to dig ground and take what is here, to distract you further.
And on my video, that's what I was telling the brother. I was telling him that because I listened to you about 2-3 years ago, and then you talk about this thing. I was telling him that all these tribal differences that people try to use it and then take advantage of Africa and continue to explore Africa. Those people using it as their means of exploitation, they don't even see our differences when we go to them. Because when you go to China, the Chinese don't see you as Igbo or Yoruba or Dagomba or anybody. They just see you as an African, and all that they need is to exploit you. And then when you go to Arabia, they don't care about your tribe. And when you go to Europe, it's even worse. Okay, so if you are in Africa and then you're thinking that I am this, I am that, I am that, the person exploring you, he doesn't see that, and he doesn't even care about that. So why do you have to care about that?
No, tribalism is nothing, and I said it time with that number. You're a Ghanaian, I'm a Nigerian, but if we walk the streets of America, the same way you'll be treated, the same way I'll be treated. We're not talking about nationality here.
No.
Africa is one. Africa is identity. And people must know that the white man must always try to put a black man down for a singular reason. He has chosen the path of purity, the path of higher self. So whenever he meets with a black man, the only way he can assert that is to put the black man down. Every human being wants to have this thing, but all of us have. This is the melanin. This carbon-12, what they call 666 in the Bible, you know, the 6 protons, 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. Every human being want to have because of the effect of the sun on us. And of course, through this week is a spiritual property we have in us. And the whites don't have it. The whites wish they had it. And you are a spiritual being a black man. So the white man will always want to put you down. That's the only way he can be to be seen of same frequency with you or getting close to you, who you are. Hence, they're using the tools of tribalism, religion, and all that. But truth be told, there's no tribe in Africa. There's one tribe, which is Africa. What we have is languages. And of course, if you investigate the language critically, they are one.
Yes.
One language.
Yeah, if you investigate, because me like this, coming from the Dagomba Kingdom, we are like, we kind of like, you're gonna think we're different. But if you go deeper, do deeper research, like all the tribes in my part, those different tribes, they all used to be one. Even expanded to Burkina Faso, Mosi, and then the rest. You understand? So I was listening to one comrade in Zambia, and according to him, even most of the so-called tribes in Zambia, some of them migrated from Nigeria, today's Nigeria. I was like,
yeah.
So at the end of the day, we are all one people. So why do we allow ourselves, out of, I don't know, I'm going to call it ignorance or colonization, to think that we are one people? One, as a matter of fact, we all speak one language. And as I said, today, Africans speak one language, and that is a language of suffering, language of discrimination.
Yeah.
Yeah. Language we speak.
Yeah. The Yorubas and the Igbos are one of the major language tribe in Africa, in Nigeria. And they don't see each other eye to eye. They fight all the time. But it took me when I understood Yoruba language to know that Yoruba language is the same with Igbo language. And when I studied their spiritual system, it's the same. And I mean the same. A further research even showed me that Igbos had to move down from Ile-Ife, which is the beginning of Yoruba, down to Igbo land here. This has been proven by the two kings of these two people. But they use politics. They use the Western education. Mind you, they don't teach history in Nigeria school. They just started recently.
No.
And do you know why they had to keep away this history? Because if you know your history, you can't repeat your mistake. But they still have the intention to enslave and colonize us once more. And it's also important to know that most of the chiefs, the kings you have in Africa, were installed by the whites. And these are, sorry to say, were the unintelligent Africans, because the real intelligent ones, the kings and queens, were taken as slaves.
And some of them were killed.
The crude and the rude ones were made kings to rule over the real intelligent ones, so that they can have serving as a proxy for the West to come over here. So the kings and the chiefs do not want you to know your history, because if you know your history, you're going to fight them. You're going to remove them from power, because the history tells you that They are the one that sold you into slavery. They're the one that gave your land out.
Those who betrayed us. Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, the solution to Africa's problem is knowledge. Knowledge. You are a Ghanaian, I'm a Nigerian today, and I am free with you because I've got knowledge of self, and you have that knowledge of self. So we are of one tribe now because we have got this knowledge. And this has to be sponsored.
Our knowledge should be our tribe. Wow, this is deep.
Yes, yes, yes.
Our knowledge of self should be our tribe.
Our tribe. We are of the same jurisdiction now, because if I see anybody dragging you on social media, I'm in. And you see, that matters, Isaac.
Yeah, you know him? Our brother.
Sometimes some pastors came to arrest, some pastors came to arrest him and humiliate him. We organized ourselves, we came in hundreds, and they all ran away because we're of the same jurisdiction now. We have one knowledge. We are trying to free our people. But mind you, this is starting from the streets. The leaders cannot say what we are saying, but they know the truth. So once in a while, they just say it.
That's what I'm saying.
Because they'll be singled out. They'll be singled out, dealt with. But time will come, especially this country called Nigeria, is the savior of Africa. Consciousness breeding here. By the time we get a good number of people, we're going to take on them. We're going to force Ghana to think well. We're going to force Congo to think well. Africa, we're going to break the borders. Julius Malema is in South Africa, the only African leader speaking up. He's going to wake up a lot of our brothers up there. And we're going to join forces together to drive away the Europeans. Of course, the Chinese are coming too, because it's a free-for-all party in Africa, you know. But we're going to stop them because the knowledge is out. You feel it? So what we have to do is to continue to propagate this information with evidence, convincing our people the need for us to depart from anything that has to do with Western idea.
Anything that Western idea will not.
Yes. Look at let me look at the religion, for instance. They say it's self and personal race. For you to see heaven, is you run a self and personal race. If your eye is going to stop you, pluck it. If your mouth, pluck it. We don't need self and personal race. We need all-encompassing Afro race, or perhaps human race. But because it's all about division, the theology is built around division. They separate you from your family, so you become selfish of yourself, running this race, not really carrying everybody along.
Yeah, thinking about your own self. So
it's selfishness.
It kind of like put us in individual mindset. So individualized.
Yes. Instead of us to hold hands.
The African Ubuntu energy is not there.
It's not there. It's not there. So we must not shy away from talking about religion whenever we talk about African unity, because until you uproot religion, there can't be unity. Until you uproot religion, there can't be unity in Africa, and there will never be.
Well, and our lack of unity, as we said, centuries to come, our children will continue to be going through all this disrespect and humiliation that Africa is going through. If only we are not united, I mean.
It's generational. It's generational.
Wow.
It's generational, of course.
Then colonization was until I was telling my wife the other day, colonization was kind of like, it's like colonization was a full package. So if you deal with this and leave this, then you haven't done nothing.
Yes.
From education
until
to politics.
Yeah. Until we stop speaking this language, we can't be free. It's a spell.
Wow,
until you and I can understand ourselves. Until we can understand ourselves in our language, we can't be free. Yes.
But bro, that's
what
it sounds. I say
spell. Yeah. This language is a spell.
How do we speak one? How do we understand each other as African people with one language when we have too many and different languages?
I can see some countries adopting languages for themselves. It's a gradual process. There has to be revolution.
What about the entire continent of Africa?
It's gonna be partly. At least we can start something in West Africa here. Let's say
because
West African.
Because as what I heard, the African Union former chair proposed Swahili for Africa, and then also Arabic, because we have our brothers in the northern part of Africa who are mostly Arabic speaking people. So Swahili was adopted as African Union official language, but nobody is talking about it. Imagine if Nigeria would, I always say 300 million population, because when they tell me Nigeria is 200 million population, I don't take it. When they tell me Ghana is 30, when they say to me Ghana is 30 million population, I say no, I'm going to add 10 more. So if you tell me Nigeria is 200 million population, I'm going to add 100 more, because it's always part of their programming. So imagine like if 300 million population has adopted Swahili, bro, you can imagine what it will do for the continent of Africa. But there have been a proposal for us to use that language, but yet nobody is talking about it. We're still holding on to the English language from the colonial masters.
As I told
colonial criminals, rather.
As I told you, it's not something that's going to happen next year or 2 years or 5 years time. The truth is that we've started talking about it, and gradually Africa will be coming closer to each other. You know, it's very easy for me to travel to the US, easier than to travel to South Africa.
That is what I'm saying, bro. That is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this. I saw a friend of mine from Congo. He sent me this video of a lady talking about a UK citizen can travel to almost like 36 countries in Africa, a UK with visa free, but a Somalian with a Somali passport cannot travel to even one country in Africa. So why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we holding and she's a Somali, and then yet we'll have the guts to say Somalis don't want to be Africans, Somalis don't want to identify with Africans. But what are we doing to let them know that they are Africans? How come a country in Africa a citizen of Africa cannot travel to even one country in Africa without visa, but a citizen of UK can travel to 36 countries in Africa with visa free or visa on arrival? How does that make sense?
Yeah, it's to tell you that here is still somebody's estate. The owners of the estates, the person traveling is their child, so they are free to go to wherever they want to go. And the owner of the estate decide where to put gates and where not to put gates, who to get in or get out. Africa is not yet free. That's the same thing we are saying. To think that we have independence is a joke. We don't have independence. We move from slavery to colonization. There's new colonization going on now. Somebody's still in charge. Yeah. Somebody's still in charge.
They create that safe haven for themselves. Because as we keep watching, you said, as the knowledge keep coming out with the help of the new generation of Africans. Last time I was watching a video by one, is it Widimaya in what's the name? In Namibia. Bro, this is true beauty, nature, and it is all over Africa. But yet, every single place he goes, it is only Europeans who are there. It is only white people, so-called white people, who are there. You wouldn't see you wouldn't see Africans exploring their own continent, because like you don't have what it takes, or you are not allowed to do that. I'll just say it. That we don't have what it takes, but we are not allowed to explore our own continent. But all the beautiful places in Africa, all the waterfalls in Africa, is being explored by Europeans. So a European wake up in Europe with 500 euro, then he can travel all over Africa. But an Africa with 2,000 pounds cannot even travel to Ghana. So majority of Africans born in Africa, maybe let's say 90% of Nigerians born in Nigeria, never even travel to Cameroon.
Of course.
We are not allowed. We are not allowed to explore the beauty of Africa, even though Africa is the most beautiful place on this planet Earth.
That's a fact. Because Africa is not free. The owners take us short. Even in Nigeria here, you're not even allowed to travel. There's some places you go because you are Igbo, you are looked upon like, you may be killed.
Like a stranger.
Right? Yeah, you may be killed. So, but he's here. He's here. We lack the mental power to reason.
But this one, bro, can we still continue to blame can we still continue to blame the Europeans for this? Because I know, yes, they have done a great deal of damage to us, mentally, spiritually, physically, and all that. But in this 21st century, that you as my brother cannot even travel to some part of Nigeria, even though you are a citizen of Nigeria, not to talk of even traveling outside of Nigeria. Can we still blame them for that?
You don't. Blaming them gives no benefit. It's just for us to work on ourselves. The white man, the children of the white man will tell you that their ancestors were bad. They will say it boldly. They take pride in it. You know?
Yeah.
They say it. So why are you blaming them? It's for us to come back home and work on ourselves. It's for us to get involved in their politics.
They say
work on ourselves. They say to you.
That's one thing. That's, to be honest, that's one thing we cannot take away from them. They admit it. Okay, a colleague of mine asked me that, okay, you always talk about what we did to. That is when I started blaming them for that. He asked me that you always talk about what my ancestors did to you and blah, blah. I know they were wrong, but imagine if they haven't done that to your ancestors. He said to me, I would have been in Africa and then you would be my team leader. He was my boss. You understand? And this was so deep. He said to me, if they didn't do that to me, he said, I understand. But imagine if they didn't do that to my ancestors, that means he would have been in Africa. So they know that their ancestors were wrong. But at least it gives them the privilege, as we say, to travel all over the world without disturbances, without any hassle. So if they have not done that to us, maybe he said to me, maybe he would have been in Africa. I would have been in Africa, and then he would have been in Africa, and I would have been his boss. But because they did that,
that's right.
Then vice versa.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. He's right. That means.
So they
I've always said what they did. Yeah, I always say that we are too religious and too emotional in Africa. African man will always think about the next person sometime before himself. There's always this need for self-protection. We don't have it in Africa. Are you getting it? A white man will always think about self, my own, my people, before the others. Africa will be looking for a balance. Where we have potentials, when we have life is competition.
I know.
We have to retrain our mind to think about self, to think about winning instead. And this has to be inculcated in our educational system. That's why we have to get away from the Western education system. Let's go Afro educational system. Let's teach African man a child how to win, how to compete. Because life is all about competition. We don't compete. About competition.
No.
Yeah,
no.
About competition.
No.
Nothing comes to you sitting down. You must stand up and go and get it.
Because look at what is happening today globally in global geopolitics. Look at what is happening.
Yeah.
It's all about competition. But another thing is that, bro, today everybody seems to be running to Africa to convince us as African people to do business with them. America is running to Africa. China is running to Africa because they all see that Africa is the future. But it seems like we, the citizens of Africa, we are not seeing that.
We wouldn't see that because we are not educated, including the professors. They are not actually educated. Education is from the word educe, which means you can check it out there. Educe is to something that is within. So when you get educated, you fine-tune what is within. To improve your life, to improve the society. But we think that education is to become like the white, to speak better English like the white.
Yeah, that's how we've been programmed to think.
Yeah, that is self-destructive. So we need to be educated to understand that we have everything that makes this life good in Africa. The greatest thing we have in Africa is the sun. It's the sun that gives birth to the resources. Yeah, the resources, the metals and stones, everything you have in Africa. We are not thinking about that. Rather, we are thinking about how to live the life of a white man. And the white man, knowing fully well who we are, who trained us to think in this direction, is always here, ensuring that we don't wake up. You know how I used to be popular on Facebook, but then they came against me whenever I come live, they cut off everybody, block my account. The attack was so much, I could not cope. I let it go. It's all.
And I ask myself, where's our own, bro? And then, as you said, we are not competing, yeah. And this life is all about competition. Where's our engineers? Where's, like, how come at least today every continent have their own social media, but for Africa we don't? China have their own, and they control it. America, Europe, Russia, but we don't control anything. So like it's like we are just dependent. This one will create their own social media and then we'll run to it. And even if an African, if you like, you as Brother X, if you come out with as an engineer with a social media platform, Africans will not patronize you. What's happening? Like,
one, they won't even like the content. You'll be selling
many Africans have come out.
No, you'll be selling to them. You see what we've been trained to like: nudity, criminality, jokes. We have not been trained to like things that impact knowledge on us. There is this Zimbabwean that made that's a scientist who even dropped out from school from my force, so but he has been producing wonderful things that even beat the laws of physics. For instance, he created television that works without power.
Yeah.
No battery. He created helicopter and all that. Somebody told me about that technology about 8 years ago. I thought he was joking. And this guy that told me about that technology is not educated. I'm looking for him now. He's not educated. But he told me that you can trap the radio frequency that you used for making call and all that and turn it to electricity. He told me about it. And I thought he was joking. Do you know this guy had been 3 attempts on him to kill him by the West? This Zimbabwean. Who is giving him protection now is who is giving him protection is one South African rich man. They refuse to patent his job because they want to steal it. And when they asked why, they say because he went against the laws of physics. What is physics? Who is the physician? Who is making laws?
Makes the law? Who makes that law?
Who makes the law? So it's not that our people don't want to come out, but if you come out, on what platform are you going to stand? How many African countries have satellites on the orbit?
The other day, a brother in Nigeria, I watched him, he's in France, and then he was talking about that, the satellite thing, and then how like Africa is using Europe is providing Africa space and satellite and stuff like that, and how much it is costing us. And when Gaddafi wanted to bring all this, we see what happened to him.
Curious. Nigeria used to have a satellite in the orbit. Obasanjo created it. But when they discovered a lot of resources in the northeastern Nigeria, they wanted to steal it. That's where the Boko Haram is killing people today. They forced them to take it down because if they don't take it down, everything will be captured and sent, and they can investigate and get to the real criminals. It's the same control we're talking about. I think before we can be free, we must be armed, just as Russia is armed. Russia can afford to do whatever they want to do, and nobody says anything because they have what I call the Holy Ghost fire, which is the nuclear weapon.
Just
once
like
you have
America.
it, you have your rest. India is developing today because they have got one. Until you get one.
They can defend themselves.
Yeah, until you get one, you cannot actually aspire or develop unless they decided to make you so.
And then you think these separated nations, a small country like Ghana, a small country like Togo can be able to develop this nuclear unless we do it together, don't you think? And that's where the unity come again.
Yeah, we have a platform which is Nigeria. The population is big enough. It's as big as America. Nigeria is big as America. So I see no reason why Nigeria cannot embark on that project. We have the population, we have everything, but The leaders we keep having are the leaders that are only interested in farming, interested in building bridges, building roads. They don't think about anything outside immediate consumption. And these are the leaders they want us to have. But with the likes of you and me, without any training on this, but we understand our problem and we are discussing it. In the near future, people of such mind is going to be in power. And I keep saying it, until we can defend yourself militarily, you are not actually free.
Yeah, until you defend yourself militarily.
I don't know. We are taking 1 hour.
Yeah. I think we've said enough, and then this is what we need as African people, or the new generation.
You're not free. If you like, you.
Yeah. I think I'm low.
Yeah.
I lost your
sound
brother. Now. Yeah. So, bro, maybe we will. I appreciate your time. I really appreciate your time, and then I know this was going to be a very impactful discussion, because I know your knowledge and your in-depth knowledge on these issues. So maybe we need to get more time to talk more, and then to develop our platform, One Africa Mission, because as I keep saying, we are missionaries, and you guys started the mission, and then we must continue the mission until we see a free Africa, and a truly independent Africa, because for now we are dependent. And then I keep saying, I know me and you, we wouldn't want our children to inherit the same Africa that we inherited, or the same Africa we are having now. We wouldn't want our children to have the same Africa. So I really appreciate and thank you very much. My regards to all the family, the friends, and then tell them very soon they are coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, bro. And thank you to our listeners.
Thank you very much, and keep the good job up.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to our listeners, brother Chigozie, and then brother Ezenata. Brother Ezenata, long time. Brother Mabia, how are you doing? We thank you all for coming around today. Brother Ezex, I appreciate your time and your knowledge. May the gods of Africa continue to bless you.
Thank you.